Summon the suit.
Summon the suit? What are you saying?
The suit.
The suit?
And keep this safe.
So be it.
Let's go, let's go.
Arthur Harrow, he's such an awesome villain. Ethan, you haven't done too many villains. What appealed to you about doing the villain role in Moon Knight?
Well, first off, I like bad guys who, I just don't think he sees himself as saving the universe, right? He thinks in the movie of his life, he thinks he's the superhero. He thinks he's a righteous do-gooder. And, I always find there's nothing scarier than somebody who thinks they know what's right for everyone else. And that that turned me on as a guy who knows what's right for the rest of the world, and he's going to set about to do it. And he has that clarity of vision that is genuinely creepy, I always think.
Was being part of the MCU, doing something with Marvel, something that had been on your radar?
Well, I don't think it's possible to be alive on the planet for the last 20 years and not have the MCU on your radar. It permeates so much of our culture. And so if you're an actor, you want to be a part of your time, right? And this is, if you're an actor in the 50s, I think you'd want to be in a Western, And so at a certain point, I was like, yes, I would really like to play in this sandbox and try to make something good. And the opportunity to work with Oscar, he had such passion for this material, and I could tell he was going to go all in. And I liked that. And I liked that I didn't know what the Moon Knight was. I didn't know Moon Knight storyline. I don't think very many people do. There is no identifiable villain. I didn't have to imitate or play into the iconography of somebody else's performance from a long forgotten film or something. We could really forge our own path. And that made it interesting to me.
How does Moon Knight, differentiate itself from everything else that we've seen so far in the MCU?
Well, the thing that was arresting to me was in the history of movies, villains are always insane. And in Moon Knight, you have your hero who's genuinely struggling with mental illness. And that's a switch that was exciting to me. Often heroes have dark sides or they're haunted, but they're not clinically unwell, and our hero is legitimately suffering. And Oscar wanted to play that. He wanted to do that for real. And that was exciting to me and immediately changes the point of view because you have an unreliable narrator. Your narrator who's telling you the story isn't sure of his own reality. So you, and as the audience member, are not either. And of course, this does a great thing to the villain because the villain has to be the opposite of the hero in some way. They're a reflection of each other. So I had to become the sanest villain you've ever seen, in a way, the sanest lunatic, as it were.
You were one of the first people I spoke to when the pandemic started. Ethan, so tell me about this coming year. You've got a huge amount of movies coming out. How did what the last couple of years inform your choices as an actor?
Well, I think all of us were really just trying to recover. I don't think I had nothing. I'd never lived through a pandemic before. I'd never had the whole industry shut down. I've never experienced that. And so as we went back to work, it was kind of like getting an engine started again. I was really lucky. The first person to ask me back to work was Robert Eggers with The Northman. We made that movie in the heart of the pandemic. That was really scary and weird. Everybody was, I wasn't allowed to talk to the camera department. The hair and makeup team wasn't allowed to. We all had these different bubbles, even on set. I don't think there's people I worked with for weeks that I wouldn't recognize if I sat down on a bus next to them because they had a mask and a face shield. And that was very intense. By the time Moon Knight started, vaccinations had happened, and things were starting to be on the mend a little bit. But I don't know how to speak to it. I think I feel a little bit like Jonah in The Whale. It's just like everything went dark, and I'm not exactly sure where we've been shot out. brave man.
Offering your soul for judgment, wanting to serve our goddess even before she wakes. I judge you in Amit's name with but a fraction of her power.